What's going on, homies? Bringing you some more class review here. Looking at some Three Crow work. We're on the Paladin. I've actually already reviewed most of it. We got to do the subclasses, take a quick look at those. And then I'm going to be taking a look at the Barbarian following that. So, depending on time, we might pop in to do the either Cleric or Rogue. I think Rogue is up next after Barbarian. So, yeah, Rogue is. So we might pop into the Rogue and at least start it, but we'll see. I also have to fit in time to do a character tier list. So I think what I'll probably do is do the rest of the Paladin review, then the Barbarian review, then the character tier list, and then if we have more time, I'll see if I can fit in something else. I'm planning on going for about an hour and a half, so we'll see how long we actually have at the end of our enumerated tasks. By the way, at the end of this stream, we'll definitely get through to the Barbarian, which leaves us with only 2 classes left, which means one more donor stream, one more stream of this kind of nature as class reviews go, and we will be taken care of with that. Future streams after that will be mostly centered around developing content, developing classes or adventures or whatever. So I'll still plan on doing at least one a week. And ideally more as time permits. But that will be what we focus on at that point is, continuing to review content that comes through, but incorporating it into other stuff as well. I probably won't do like Foundry data entry on stream, but maybe, who knows. So with that said, we're going to jump back into the Paladin review here. I had taken a look at how the spellcasting was set up and had given some feedback on the fact that, Divine Smites can be, and Lay on Hands can use spell slots to reset, but otherwise I think you only get 1 Divine Smite and 15 Lay on Hands until you short rest or long rest. I believe you get half Divine Smites on short rest, which we're assuming it rounds up, which is what I believe. Like, I said that, and then 3Crow didn't say that's wrong, so I'm going to say that that's correct. We're talking about a Divine Smite here that you will regenerate on short rest. But there's no other way to get it from the spellcasting. So I actually think upon further reflection and meditating on that, sort of like chewing on that for a little bit, I think that's fine. And then I believe where's the short rest here? Short rest verbiage. Okay, yeah, Lay on Hands is full short rest. That's what I thought. So. I would say round up on the Divine Smite, just so that when you're at first level and you short rest, you get a just Divine Smite back. I don't think that's rude in any way. Also, the idea of having 6 at 6th level is, I believe that's much higher than you typically get. But I'm not entirely sure what the vanilla setup was for that. Spell slots being a second level thing, but having a use retroactively is a typical power scaling thing. It's fine. It's just it was triggering my rule autism because I was looking at it like, wait, what's going on here? And then, like it says spell slots, but you don't get them until second level. It's just kind of like the way that the stuff worked. So, okay. So we had read through the Oath of the Ancients, which obviously has some tenets and channel divinity options about Nature's Wrath to basically do like a single target ensnare or entangle, I believe is the spell. And dealing 2d6 damage and stuff if it does end up going. And then the Turn the Faithless is basically a fey or fiend, excuse me, has to basically it's like a Turn the Undead but for other creatures, which this is the first time I'm encountering this. I'm sure it exists in D&D rules as written, but that's pretty cool. The Aura of Warding is resistance to damage from spells, and then temporary boost to 30 feet, but it's 10 feet by default, so that's actually pretty useful, obviously, as you might imagine. And then Elder Champion is like a shapeshift, almost like a druid overlap, which makes sense for it being the Oath of the Ancients, right? A little bit of a Fey-oriented. So just a quick primer recap on that. I think that's pretty neat thematically. Right, yeah, that's right. I just remembered it was fueled only by slots, so the smites were very precious resource that most paladins would avoid the spellcasting aspect of. And maybe that's fine for them to be like a partial caster or whatever, right? Like a half caster or something. But, or maybe they were quarter caster. I can't remember the initial terms. But anyway, we have the Oath of Conquest here. Oath of Conquest calls to paladins who seek glory in battle and the subjugation of our enemies. It isn't enough for these paladins to establish order. They must crush the forces of chaos, sometimes called night tyrants or ironmongers. Those who swear this oath gather into grim orders that serve gods or philosophies of war and well-ordered might. The victory must be so overwhelming that your enemy's will to fight is shattered forever. A blade can end a life. Fear can end an empire. That's pretty cool. Once you have conquered, tolerate no dissent. Your word is law. Those who obey it shall be favored. Those who defy it shall be punished as an example to all who might follow. You shall rule until a stronger one arises. Then you must grow mightier and meet the challenge or fall to your own ruin. Yeah, pretty neat. Very clearly like a paladin, but aligned towards evil's maybe a strong word, but you can see how this would be considered like a lawful evil type paladin. Whereas I feel like an Oathbreaker is more chaotic in theory. So. And the Oathbreaker does exist. We'll get to him. So you got your spells here, which are Cleric or Warlock. Okay, so that's an interesting notion. Because here is Druid or Paladin for the Oath spells of the Oath of the Ancients. But Oath of Conquest is Cleric or Warlock, which is pretty neat. Conquering Presence. You exude a terrifying presence as an action. You force each creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet. Make a Wisdom saving throw with disadvantage. Failed save, the creature becomes frightened for you. Frightened creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns. I'm assuming that the following turn saving throws here are not with disadvantage. Guided Strike. When you make an attack roll, you can use your Channel Divinity and a +10 bonus. Interesting. After you see the roll, but before the DM says whether it hits or misses. Interesting. Well, +10 to an attack roll is useful. I'm pretty sure... Is it correct to say that Channel Divinity... Yeah, before you can use it, you have to do a short or long rest. So that's what I was trying to remember. +10 bonus is pretty, significant. We probably would have to talk about some kind of situational bonus for getting over a certain amount. But it's a guaranteed hit, but it's not a crit. So that's sort of where I'm at with that. Most cases, it'll be a guaranteed hit. I can see it being useful. It's like guaranteed full damage or whatever. Aura of Conquest. Starting at 5th level, you constantly emanate a menacing aura when you're not incapacitated. Extends 10 feet around you. If a creature is frightened from you, its speed is reduced to 0 while in the aura, and increase psychic damage. Oh, okay. Activate your Channel Divinity. It increases to 30 feet. Any creature that successfully lands an attack on you suffers psychic damage equal to your Charisma modifier. That's pretty neat, too. Invincible Conqueror. At 6th level, you gain the ability to harness extraordinary martial prowess. As an action, you can magically become an avatar of conquest. Okay, so this is not a form shift, right? This is a little bit less so than that, right? It's resistance to all damage, extra bonus. So you get a bonus attack. So obviously at this point you already have extra attacks. Triggered 3 attacks and brutal crits, and then you can't use that until you finish a long rest. So that's once a move. That's pretty good. +10 is the vanilla bonus, same as War Cleric. Oh, okay. I didn't know that Guided Strike was something, something about that. Like, I thought it was just related to that. I assumed it was a vanilla benefit. I'm just talking about like how it applies in our rule set. Might need some adaptation. Okay, so obviously a frontline sort of bruiser type, it feels like. Oath of Creation awakens paladins to the undeniable truth. Yes, this is the Starfather one. This is the sworn to secrecy and all of that. Celestial Virtues. Being Cleric or Druid. Splendid Demise. Call upon your divine connection to invoke the Starfather's grace. When a creature you can see is reduces 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to grant them 1 hit point, then bestow upon them temporary hit points equal to 1d10 plus your Constitution modifier plus your Paladin level. Right. So, that's pretty legit. Godsmith. You empower the strike of an ally. When an ally that you can see hits a creature with a melee attack, you may use your reaction to activate Divine Smite through their attack without expending a Divine Smite use, even if you have no Divine Smites remaining. I'm noticing we capitalize D and S here in Divine Smite, but not other times, which is just a small autism note. Aura of Creation. Starting at 5th level, you become a beacon of the Starfather's Grace when you're not incapacitated. This aura extends 10 feet from you, but not through total cover. Once on each turn, you and friendly creatures within 10 feet of you can add your proficiency bonus to the total of 1 attack roll. Once on each turn. Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's like a global turn then. When you are an ally under the effects of Godsmith, strike an enemy with Divine Smite. That enemy becomes a beacon of hope until the end of your next turn. During this time, once per turn, when you or a friendly creature successfully takes a hostile action against that creature, they restore hit points equal to 1d6 plus con. That's pretty good. Immaculate Conception. At 6th level, you gain the ability to harness the purity that resides within all creation. You magically become an avatar of the Starfather, gaining the following abilities for 1 minute. 30 feet, Aura of Creation. Pretty good. Immune to the charmed, exhausted, frightened, prone, restrained, and stunned conditions once per round. When a creature under the effects of your Aura of Creation succeeds on an attack roll against a creature, you may spend your reaction to activate the effects of Godsmith for that attack. Ah. As a free action, basically. It doesn't cost Channel Divinity here. So you may spend your reaction to activate the effects of Godsmith when they're under the effects of your Aura of Creation. Okay. When the duration of this feature comes to an end, you emit a pulse of purifying energy. Friendly creatures within 30 feet of you restore hit points equal to 1d10 plus your paladin level. And then, of course, it's a cure to poison and disease. Yeah, pretty legit. I like the fact that not all of these avatar switches... First of all, paladins having an avatar channel of sorts is pretty thematic for paladins. Second of all, the idea of not all of them having that, like, upon the end, this thing happens, like, that leaves it to be pretty neat. So there's, like, nifty differences in the mechanics that are being used here, which I appreciate. Oath of the Crown is one that I did read through all of the tenets and the primer to each class or subclass earlier, so I'm kind of skimming them this time. But Oath of the Crown is a cool one, focusing entirely around the idea that you're serving a people by way, by way of a nation or by way of a king or a monarch or something like that, right? A ruler. Your oath is to a people, but from a lawful bent. So. I am you. YouTube has this fancy new feature, which I will show on screen, where it's trying to auto-translate some of the shit. So when you wrote I am you, it's translated it to I am. And then, of course, I thought the rest of the sentence was going to be the wheat of God, but it was not. So. Very epic. Hey, what's up, Lucy? So, let's see. Cleric or Paladin spell list here for the Oath spells, which makes sense. Champion's Challenge. As a bonus action, you issue a challenge that compels other creatures to do battle with you. Each creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet, make a wisdom saving throw with disadvantage. They can't willingly move more than 30 feet away from you, and have disadvantage on attack rolls made against creatures other than you. So it's kind of a taunt, right? The effect ends on the creatures if you're incapacitated, if you die, or if the creature is more than 30 feet away from you. This is a really funny thing to randomly say, but in Warcraft 3, the Mountain Giant has a taunt ability that's basically just an APM check, and so against like most mid-level players, it's useless. However, why wouldn't they just do something that debuffs enemies if they aren't attacking Mountain Giants? Isn't that super easy? Like, that's pretty trivial to program for something like Cosmonarchy. That would be super easy. But why wouldn't they just do that? You know what I mean? Anyway, the creature is more than 30 feet away from you. It is also the end of the effect. Okay. Turn the Tide. As a bonus action, you can bolster injured creatures with your channel divinity. Each creature of your choice that can hear you within 30 feet regains hit points equal to 1d10 plus Ka modifier, plus your paladin level if it has fewer than its maximum hit points. We're just in a full stop at the end of here. Aura of Allegiance. Starting at 5th level, your devotion to your allies allows you to absorb harm that comes their way through sheer will. This aura extends 10 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. When a friendly creature within 10 feet of you would suffer damage from any source, you can use your reaction to take the damage in their place. Okay. It looks like you can do this any number of times. There's no, like, once per turn or anything. If you do, the creature takes 0 damage and you take damage equivalent to the amount of damage dealt. Can't be reduced or prevented in any way. And when you activate your Channel Divinity, it increases to 30 feet. A friendly creature that benefits from use of your reaction also restores hit points. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh, thank you for posting the IMU in a way that it does not get translated. I appreciate that. Exalted Champion. At 6th level, your presence in the battlefield of battle is an inspiration to those dedicated to your cause. You can use your action to gain the following benefits. Range of Aura of Allegiance increases to 30 feet. Now, when it increases to 30 feet, does it increase to 50 feet or 60 feet when you activate Channel Divinity? I'm guessing not. It just neutralizes that particular benefit by making it always active, which is still an upgrade, obviously. You have resistances to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical weapons. Your allies have advantage on death saving throws within 30 feet of you. Once per round, when you reduce the damage dealt to a friendly creature using 0, or to 0 using a reaction. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay. If you have no uses of your Divine Smite remaining, you regain 1 use. Hey, that's pretty good. It doesn't stack, yeah. Number of uses is equal to your hit points. I like that. Lower the difficulty by becoming better type shit. The Oath of Devotion binds us paladin to the loftiest ideals of justice, virtue, and order. Yes, the Cavalier. So they get Cleric or Paladin. Spells. Sacred Weapon. As a bonus action, you can imbue one weapon that you are holding with positive energy using your Channel Divinity. For 1 minute, you add your Charisma modifier to the attack and damage rolls made with that weapon. The weapon also emits a bright light in a 20-foot radius and a dim light 20 feet beyond that. If the weapon is not already magical, it becomes magical for the duration. You can end this effect on your turn as part of any other action. Okay, pretty cool. So it empowers your weapon as you would like. Just don't get disarmed, then you'll have to end it, and then you won't have another use of your Channel Divinity for some time. Turn the Unholy. As an action, you present your holy symbol and speak a prayer, censuring fiends and undead, using your Channel Divinity. Turn creature, yeah, basically has the turn description after that, okay. It's turn for 1 minute or until it takes damage. So this is turn the dead, or turn the undead or turn undead spell, except it also applies to fiends, and there's probably some other particulars that are different. Aura of Devotion. Starting at 5th level, you and your creatures within 10 feet of you can't be charmed. Pretty legit. I think Aura of Devotion is what the Paladin has in Warcraft 3, and it increases armor. Okay. Weird name. Not like Aura. It can't be Aura of Endurance, because Endurance Aura is attack speed and movement speed, I think. And that's on the Tauren Chieftain, so figure it out. When you activate your Channel Divinity, range of this feature increases. If you would prevent yourself from becoming a creature from becoming charmed, you mark the creature that attempted to charm you, and let's see. If you make a successful attack roll against a marked creature, you can activate the effects of your Divine Smite once without expending use. Okay. That's pretty neat. Holy Nimbus! At 6th level, as an action, you can emanate an aura of sunlight. Whenever an enemy creature starts its turn in the bright light, they take 10 radiant damage. In addition, for the duration, you have an advantage on saving throws against spells cast by fiends or undead, and you gain all the benefits of being under the effects of protection and good and evil. Oh, yeah. This is clearly a subclass you would want to go as against, like, undead, obviously. But what good campaign featuring a paladin at high level doesn't feature undead? You know what I mean? Paladins who take the Oath of Glory believe they and their companions are destined to achieve glory through deeds of heroism. These are the cool guys. These are the movies. So they get Cleric or Paladin spells. Peerless Athlete. As a bonus action, you can use your Channel Divinity to augment your athleticism. For the next 10 minutes, you have advantage on Strength, Athletics, and Dexterity Acrobatics checks. You can carry, push, drag, and lift twice as much weight as normal. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet. And the distance of your long and high jumps increased by 10 feet. Yeah. Channel Divinity, Peerless Athlete, and then just lift the enemy giant and throw him into the water. Inspiring Smite. Immediately after you deal damage to a creature with your Divine Smite feature, you can use your Channel Divinity as a bonus action and distribute temporary hit points to creatures of your choice within 30 feet of you, which can include you. The total number of temporary hit points equals 5 times your level in this class, divided among the chosen creatures however you like. Oh, cool. So if you're at 4th level, then you get 25, right? No, 20. You get 20 HP to distribute to whoever you want within that range. Aura of Alacrity. At 5th level, you emanate an aura that fills you and your companions with supernatural speed, allowing you to race across a battlefield in formation. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet. In addition, if you aren't incapacitated, the walking speed of any ally who starts their turn within 5 feet of you increases by 10 feet until the end of that turn. When you activate your Channel Divinity, range of the screen increases to 30 feet until your next turn. In addition, for the duration of this benefit, if you or a friendly creature within 30 feet of you moves at least 10 feet before making an attack roll, they may add your Charisma modifier. Okay, so it's like charging, moving fast, or stuff like that. Living Legend. At 6th level, you can empower yourself with the legends, whether true or exaggerated, of your great deeds. As a bonus action, you gain the following benefits for 1 minute. Otherworldly Presence blesses you, granting advantage on all Charisma checks. Once or on each of your turns, when you make a weapon or attack and miss, you can cause that attack to hit instead. That's really good. If you fail a saving throw, you can use your reaction to re-roll it. You must use this new roll. I really appreciate the idea that you can basically just be like, and then this happens, miss, and then go, actually, this happens, and hit. That's pretty thematic. Just trying to rewrite reality. Rewrite the stories live. The Oath of Redemption. This is the I don't fight people unless I really have to subclass. Cleric or Sorcerer spell lists for their Oath spells. Emissary of Peace. You can use your Channel Divinity to augment your presence with divine power. As a bonus action, you grant yourself a +5 bonus to Charisma and Persuasion checks for the next 10 minutes. That makes sense to be on this subclass. Rebuke the Violent. You can use your Channel Divinity to rebuke those who use violence. Immediately after an attacker within 30 feet of you deals damage with an attack against a creature other than you, you can use your reaction to force the attacker to make a Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the attacker takes radiant damage equal to the amount you would deal with your Divine Smite. On success, the creature takes half as much damage. In addition, whenever you deal damage with your Divine Smite or Rebuke the Violent, you may choose to make the damage non-lethal. That's pretty cool. Aura of the Guardian. An aura of justice exudes from you. Compels retribution upon those who would strike your allies. When a creature succeeds on an attack against you, or a creature within 10 feet of you, that creature suffers radiant damage. I guess this should probably stipulate friendly, right? That creature suffers radiant damage equal to your paladin level. A creature can only take damage from this effect once on each of its turns. It would be really funny if this was always going to happen and you couldn't like choose. So it's like, I'm going to cast fireball, and then accidentally damage somebody standing next to the paladin, and then I die because of the aura of the guardian. Okay, it can only take damage once on each of its turns. While Channel Divinity is active, a creature that suffers radiant damage suffers 10 radiant damage instead. Oh, okay. Because you can cap at 6, so it increases the max damage. Doubles it at 5th level and just increases it by 4 at the next level. Emissary of Redemption. At 6th level, you can use your action to become an Avatar of Peace for 1 minute. At the end of each of your turns, if you did not deal damage to any creature and you have fewer than half your maximum hit points, you regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your Paladin level. You have resistance to all damage dealt by other creatures. Pretty legit. Whenever a creature hits you with an attack, it takes radiant damage equal to half the damage you take from the attack. Then you may use your reaction to cause the creature to make a charisma saving throw against your paladin save DC. On a failure, the creature becomes charmed. Pretty good. Yeah. I 3-Crow really tried to engineer a way to make it so that you could basically be a non-combatant if you wanted to, if you managed to. That's also going to be one of the most obnoxious boss battles that you guys will ever have to fight, probably. But in like a fun way. It'll be obnoxious in a good way. I promise. The Oath of Redemption boss for the evil campaign. That's pretty thematic too. Oath of Repentance. So this is one where I invented it as a cool subclass for edgelords, basically. They get cleric or paladin spell lists here. Yeah, that makes that probably makes sense. Then Repentant Vessel. A reaction upon taking damage, you reduce the incoming damage by 1d10 plus your charisma modifier plus your paladin level. And you withstand the assault to regain 1 hit point if you're reduced to 0 despite the reduction. Repentant Smite. You can use your channel divinity to levy an empowered strike against your quarry. When you hit a creature with a melee attack, you may activate Divine Smite without expending a use. Roll an additional 2d6 plus your paladin level as part of your damage. The result of this extra roll is dealt to you and your target as radiant damage. So, it's pretty powerful. It's a free smite and it deals a lot of extra damage. Of course, it comes at the cost of you taking the same amount of damage, of the bonus damage. Aura of Repentance. You emanate an aura of self-sacrifice that balances your pain for the life of others. Once per round, when you suffer damage dealt by yourself or another creature, all friendly creatures within 10 feet of you restore hit points, equal to half of the amount of damage dealt to you. And range increases to 30 feet until the end of your next turn. In addition, for the duration of this benefit, creatures that deal damage to you also take radiant damage. You gain temp HP equal to the total amount of radiant damage that expires after 1 minute. Okay, that's pretty neat. It's like stacking it up or whatever. Ego Death. At 6th level, you can use your action to become a vessel for your Lord's will for 1 minute. If you do, you gain the following benefits. 30 feet, Aura of Repentance, immune to Charmed, Frightened, Surprised, and Stunned, resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. Once on each of your turns, you may use your action to cast Divine Smite on yourself without expending a use of your Divine Smite. If you do, all creatures of your choice within 15 feet of you must succeed on a charisma saving throw against your paladin save DC. On a failure, those creatures take damage equal to the amount of damage dealt. On success, they take half as much damage. If you would be reduced to 0 hit points as a result of this feature, you are instead reduced to 1 point and Ego Death ends. That's pretty legit. Yeah, that's a great... I think that's a great distillation of the subclass into the new format. Ego Death in particular is very good. If I recall, let's see. Creation, Repentance, and the Oathbreaker were the ones that 3-Crow was particularly looking for. Hey, shut up. Don't do that. Don't talk to me, brave browser. Sorry, apparently I had a Halo video in my watch later, and that's not what I was looking for. Unsurprisingly. Not what I was expecting. Okay. Yeah, so Vengeance, Watchers, and Oathbreaker are all that's left. So we're at the final 3 here. That's 3. The Oath of Vengeance is a solemn commitment to punish those who've committed a grievous sin. Ranger or Sorcerer spells. That's pretty neat. I think that makes sense. Abjure enemy. You present your holy symbol and speak a prayer of denunciation. One creature within 60 feet of you that you can see must make a wisdom saving throw with disadvantage, unless it's immune to being frightened. Creature is frightened, and its speed is 0, and it can't benefit from any bonus to its speed. On a successful save, the creature's speed is halved for 1 minute. So basically, it's like it's very much like putting an enemy into some kind of stasis of fear, which is pretty neat. Vow of Enmity. As a bonus action, you can utter a vow of enmity against a creature you can see within 10 feet of you. Advantage on attack rolls against the creature for 1 minute or until it drops to 0 hit points or falls unconscious. Relentless Avenger. By 5th level, your supernatural focus helps you close off a foe's retreat. When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, you can move up to half your speed immediately after the attack as part of the same reaction. This movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. In addition, your opportunity attacks are no longer made with disadvantage. When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, you may activate your Divine Smite if you have a use of Divine Smite remaining. That's pretty baller. Could you always activate Divine Smite on opportunity attacks, or is that like some rules as written stuff that says that you can't do that? I don't recall reading that in the description of Divine Smite right now. Avenging Angel. At 6th level, you can assume the form of an angelic avenger. Using your action, you undergo a transformation. For 1 minute, you gain the following benefits. Wings sprout from your back and grant you a flying speed of 60 feet. Emanate an aura of menace in a 30-foot radius. First time any enemy creature enters the aura or starts its turn there during a battle, the creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, become frightened of you. Until it takes any damage. Okay, pretty neat. Yeah, if it's fine, you know, it could just be a reminder that like, hey, by the way, you can also use Divine Smite. So that's cool. Oath of the Watchers binds paladins to protect mortal realms from the predations of extraplanar creatures. So this is a pretty neat subclass flavor. It's the idea that you're like a plane hopper, or at least someone who wants to stop other plane hoppers from doing much damage to the fabric of reality. Cleric or wizard spells are pretty neat. Watcher's Will. You can invest your presence with the warding power of your faith. As an action, you can choose a number of creatures you can see within 30 feet, up to a number equal to your paladin level. For 10 minutes, you and the chosen creatures have advantage on int, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. Okay, pretty good. Probably especially good when you're thinking about the kinds of things that you're up against in extraplanar contexts. Abjure the extraplanar. You can use your channel divinity to castigate unworldly beings. As an action, you present your holy symbol in each aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, or fiend within 30 feet of you that can hear you. Must make a wisdom saving throw with disadvantage, and they are turned if they fail. That's pretty neat. Aura of the Sentinel. At 5th level, you emit an aura of alertness while you aren't incapacitated. Initiative bonus equal to your paladin level. And you and the creatures under the effects of your Watcher's Will may roll twice. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's 10 minutes, so you could definitely get into a couple battles during that time. Mortal Bulwark. At 6th level, you manifest a spark of divine power in defense of the mortal realms. As an action, you gain the following benefits for 1 minute. True sight with a range of 60 feet. Advantage on attack rolls against aberrations, celestials, elementals, fey, and fiends. When you hit a creature with an attack roll and deal damage to it, you can force it to make a charisma save. Failed save if it has fewer than half of its maximum HP. It is magically banished to its native plane of existence if it's currently not there. On a successful save, the creature can't be banished by this feature until you complete a long rest. Oh, okay. Need to go back to Ewing, but I am you. Although now it says "but we are" on translation. So but we are, dude. Final subclass here for the Paladin, the Oathbreaker. An Oathbreaker is a Paladin who breaks their sacred oaths to pursue some dark ambition or serve an evil power. Whatever light burned in the Paladin's heart has been extinguished. Only darkness remains. An Oathbreaker Paladin may choose to align themselves with an inversion of the tenets they had prior to breaking their oaths. Others may reject discipline altogether and seek only power. And there's some example tenets here. Including Shed Thy Identity, Whisper Thy Promise, and Army of One. Cleric or Warlock spell lists. Interesting. Channel Divinity. I wonder if maybe Oathbreaker could have, like, any spell list. But that's probably a little bit hard to... You don't want to make the Oathbreaker too attractive as an option, because people are already, like, edgelords anyway, right? So... predisposed to it, you know. Control Undead. As an action, you target one undead creature you see within 30 feet. Must make a wisdom saving throw with disadvantage, and they must obey your commands within the next 24 hours or until you use this channel divinity option again. Equal or greater to CR equal to or greater than your paladin level is immune to the effect. Okay. Dreadful Aspect. As an action, you channel the darkest emotions and focus them into a burst of magical menace. Each creature of your choice within 30 feet of you must make a wisdom saving throw with disadvantage, if it can see you. On a failed save, the target is frightened of you and for 1 minute. and it can try to wisdom saving throw to end the effect if it's more than 30 feet. Your Divine Smite now deals necrotic damage. Ooh, pretty neat. So this is when you use Dreadful Aspect, or is this just a permanent change that's meant to be like at 4th level? I'm guessing it's supposed to be at 4th level. It's like just a general thing. There's not really a spot for it, right? Aura of Hate. At 5th level, as well as any fiends and undead within 10 feet of you gain a bonus to melee weapon damage rolls equal to your paladin level. A creature can benefit from this feature from only one paladin at a time. Okay, that makes sense. Melee weapon damage. So, paladin level bonus. When you activate your Channel Divinity, range increases to 30 feet. Once per round, when a friendly fiend or undead creature or an undead creature under your control makes a successful attack roll against a creature, you may cast Divine Smite on the target. Oh. Dreadlord. At 6th level, you can, as an action, surround yourself with an aura of gloom that lasts for 1 minute. The aura reduces any bright light within a 30-foot radius around you to dim light. Whenever an enemy that is frightened by you starts to turn in the aura, it takes 2d8 psychic damage. Additionally, you are draped in deeper shadow. Creatures that rely on sight have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. While the aura lasts, you can use bonus actions on your turn to cause the shadows in the aura to attack one creature inside your aura. Make a melee spell attack against the target. They take necrotic damage equal to 2d8 plus your paladin level. Reduce your creature to 0 hit points as a result of this damage. You may spend your reaction to replicate the effects of an animate dead spell on the creature's corpse. You don't need to have the spell as part of your spell's known to activate this effect. And once your gloom comes to an end, the corpses are dispelled. Yeah, that's pretty legit. Okay, so definitely more of a sort of necromantic type paladin. That was pretty neat. I would say I appreciate that there were some balls, if you want to call it that, some conviction there. It was cool to see that Three Crow decided to take the vengeance oath here and invert the idea that you have an aura. Like, this is the only one that doesn't have an aura, and it's a cool thematic for that one to be the case, in my opinion. Obviously, you get the aura when you go after the when you activate your 6th level feature, right? It's pretty cool. There's a couple of things I'm not so sure will be Epic Channel Divinity options, but we can always like iterate on those over time after testing them. And like really until you actually do test all these options, which it takes a very long time to get to the point where you can, it's definitely going to be in a different sort of situation, I think. All right. Now we do have the Barbarian. The Paladin was 15 pages and the Barbarian is 7. Also, I wanted to preemptively open the other links as well. So this, up next is Rogue, and then Cleric. Looks like Cleric is going to be the longest of the remaining, but still shorter than the Paladin. I guess there's like 14 real pages, right? Because the end of the Paladin was just the credits. All right. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, and then I'll be jumping on for this class review. So, BRB. Yeah, I have returned. I refilled my water, too. I just remembered I have some of these sea salt and vinegar peanuts. Okay. Barbarians are avatars of fury, instinct, and physical supremacy. They do not master battle through polish or doctrine, but through ferocity, presence, and the terrifying refinement of violence into something primal and absolute. Where others train for discipline, the barbarian trains to unleash, to endure, and to strike with a force that seems older than civilization itself. This is, of course, a 1d12 class. Light and medium armor, but not heavy. Shields included. Simple weapons, martial weapons, no tools. Dude, their weapons are tools. What do you mean? Strength and con saving throws. Animal handling, athletics, intimidation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival on the skills. Great axe or any melee martial melee weapon. 2 hand axes or any simple weapon. 4 javelins or a wooden shield. And an explorer's pack. So we got our Savage Lore. Beast Reader. Animal handling proficiency. Checks made to calm, direct, or interpret the behavior of beasts. Bestiary. Bestiary. No, nature proficiency. Advantage to identify beasts. Bone Reader. Medicine. Advantage on checks made to assess wounds, causes of death, and physical weakness. That's pretty legit, actually. I like that. Clan Crafter. Proficiency with leatherworkers' tools and woodcarvers' tools. Forager, survival, in regions where food or water are reasonably available. Gather enough for a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus. That's pretty good. Hunter, stealth, advantage on stealth checks while you're unarmored. That's pretty legit. Marauder, intimidation, Narath. Strength modifier instead of charisma modifier when int checks are made. Nomad, athletics, advantage on checks to endure harsh weather, forced travel, and physical exhaustion. Spirit Keeper. Religion. Advantage on checks to identify spirits, omens, totems, and shamanic or tribal traditions. Survivalist. Cooks utensils. When you prepare meals during a rest, you can prepare ingredients most would consider inedible. Tracker. Perception. Advantage on checks made to follow tracks and locate wounded or fleeing creatures. Pretty legit. Okay. I like all those lores. I think especially like it came out strong with Beast Reader and Bone Reader. Those are really good ones. I like Bone Reader a lot. Hunter's obviously pretty good too, but you have to be unarmored for it. But I like the idea of playing around that idea. At first level, you choose 2 primal instincts from the list below to illustrate your barbarian's fighting style. And you gain additional primal instincts when you reach higher levels in this class. And that is... yeah, you start at 2 and you get 1 per level, so... When you gain a barbarian level, you may replace one primal instinct you knew with another primal instinct from the list. You gain primal champion in addition to your final primal instinct choice when you hit 6th level. Is primal champion actually in here? Oh, okay, it's down here at the bottom, I see. Blood Frenzy. Each of your turns while raging, when you hit a creature that is below its hit point maximum, you may treat a roll of half or lower on your weapon damage die as half instead. For example, on 2, a d6 can be 3. Okay. A 2 on a d6 can be 3. So, okay. Bonebreaker. Once on each of your turns while raging, when you hit a creature with a melee attack, it must succeed on a Constitution saving throw, or its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. Cornered Beast. When a creature is within 5 feet of you, within 5 feet of you, misses with a melee attack, you may use your reaction to attempt to shove it 5 feet away, or an attempt to grapple it. That's pretty good. Feral Instinct. Your instincts are so honed that you have an advantage on initiative rolls. Additionally, if you are surprised at the beginning of combat but aren't incapacitated, you can act normally on your first turn. But only if you enter your rage before doing anything else. And you can you only... Well, I guess we haven't gotten to rage yet, right? It's down here. Bonus action if you're not wearing heavy armor. Oh, okay. You don't actually need to be damaged? Oh, I guess you never needed to be damaged to start a rage. That was always an issue that I had remembering it. It's just that your turn ends if you're not attacked a hostile creature, forced a hostile creature to make a saving throw, or taken damage. So that's what I was thinking of, is that you need hostile interaction in order to continue a rage. But yeah, that makes sense. All right, and then we have let's see, Instinct. Furious Grappler. You add your rage damage bonus to strength checks made to grapple or restrain creatures while you are raging. When you successfully grapple a creature while raging, and once at the beginning of each of your turns while it remains grappled by you, may deal bludgeoning damage. Go to your rage damage bonus. So you just like passively deal damage to it after grappling them, basically. What's up, Balefall? If starting a rage was a reaction to taking damage. It would be interesting, but as 3Crow points out, it's kind of hard to... It's not trivial to have that be the case. To have it always be out of your control in that way, it could be annoying. Great weapon fighting. While attack with a two-handed or versatile weapon wielded in two hands, you can reroll 1 damage die. Part of your bonus action you take to enter your rage, you can move up to half your speed. Once per rage as a bonus action, choose 1 creature within 30 feet of you that can hear you. And succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become frightened of you. Rage is so fierce that it ends early only if you fall unconscious or if you choose to end it. That's pretty good. Your long jump and high jump distances are doubled. Once on each of your turns, if you move at least 10 feet straight toward a creature before hitting it with a melee attack, it will fall prone if it does not pass a strength saving throw. You gain proficiency in 1 skill of your choice from the list of skills available to barbarians at first level. This is Primal Knowledge. If you are already proficient in all of the skills in the list, you may instead choose 1 skill to gain expertise, and that's pretty neat. Relentless Rage. Your rage can keep you fighting despite grievous wounds. If you drop to 0 hit points while you're raging and don't die outright, you make DC 10 con saving throw. If you succeed, you drop to 1 hit point instead. Each time you use this feature after the first, the DC increases by 5. So that's pretty neat, Relentless Rage. That's pretty neat for sister companion like mechanism to how going down typically does work, actually. Savage Throw. You can make ranged weapon attacks with thrown weapons using your strength mod instead of your dex. If you do, use your strength mod when calculating the damage, and add your rage damage bonus if you are raging. Scarred Hide. While you are raging and not wearing heavy armor, your AC increases by 1. While shield fighting. While wielding your shield, you may use it as a martial melee weapon. It deals 1d4 bludgeoning. When you take the attack action, make a melee attack against a creature, you may use your bonus action to make an additional attack using your shield. Unstoppable. While raging, non-magical difficult terrain costs you no extra movement, and standing from prone costs you only 5 feet of movement. That's pretty good. 2-weapon fighting. When you engage with 2-weapon fighting, attacks you make with your offhand weapon can critically strike on a 19 or 20. Okay. So, offhand weapon is left hand if you're right-handed. Unarmed fighting. When your unarmed strikes can deal bludgeoning damage, you get a 1d4 plus strength mod. So this is, I believe, what Squelch has, but I don't remember what his other one was. Vicious Reprisal. Once per round while raging, when a creature within 5 feet of you hits you with an attack, you may deal bludgeoning damage equal to your rage damage bonus. That's only 1 at first, right? Yeah, so that's once per round while raging. That's not a tremendous amount of damage. Primal Champion. Once you reach 6th level in this class, you become a Primal Champion, embodying the power of the wilds. Your strength and con scores increase by 2. Max for the scores are now 22. In addition, you make a strength check, and your total roll is low. If you make a strength check and your total roll is lower than your strength score, use your strength score instead. That's pretty good. All right, so then we go back to Rage here. As a bonus action, you may enter a Rage if you're not wearing heavy armor, unless for 1 minute, unless those things that we already said. Advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. When you hit them with a melee attack weapon using When you hit a melee weapon attack using strength or with an unarmed strike using strength, bonus damage equal to your rage damage bonus. You have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. You cannot cast spells or concentrate on spells. And when you take the attack action on your turn while in a rage, you may make one additional attack using your bonus action. So, pretty legit second attack already. You can rage a number of times shown in the rages column. Short or long rest is when you repair your or recover your uses. At first level, while you're not wearing armor, your AC equals 10 plus your dex mods plus COD mod. Still use a shield and gain this benefit. Walking speed increases to 10 feet while you're not wearing armor. Oh, okay, that's pretty good. And this is also at first level. At second level, you have an uncanny sense for danger. If you have advantage on dex saving throws against effects that you can see, such as traps and spells, if you do not gain this benefit while blinded, deafened, or incapacitated. At second level, you can throw aside all concern for defense to attack with desperate fierceness. When you make your first attack on your turn, you may decide to attack recklessly. Attack rolls using strength that you make during this turn have advantage, but attack rolls against you have advantage until the start of your next turn. Brutal critical. Beginning at third level, you can roll one additional weapon damage die when determining the extra damage for a critical hit with a melee attack. Pretty good. And increase it to 2 at fifth level. Extra attack beginning at third level, you can attack twice instead of once whenever you take the attack action on your turn. Which means that you could get 4 attacks while raging, I'm pretty sure. Primal Paths. At fourth level, you commit yourself to a Primal Path that sharpens the savagery you have already mastered. And then we do indeed have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 subclasses here. Let's get to it. Path of the Ancestral Guardian. Barbarians of this path walk beside ancestral spirits who harry their enemies, protect their kin, and turn every battle into a matter of bloodline and duty. When you choose this path at fourth level, your ancestors begin to interfere directly in your battles. While you are raging, the first creature you hit with an attack on your turn becomes marked. While marked, the creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures other than you, so it's a taunt. In addition, if it deals damage to a creature other than you, that damage is reduced by your barbarian level. That's pretty cool. That's only 3 attacks? Okay. Spirit Shield. At fifth level, your ancestors shelter your companions from harm. While you are raging, when a creature you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you may use your reaction to reduce that damage by 2d6 plus your rage damage bonus. Vengeful Ancestors. At 6th level, your ancestors answer harm with Wrath. When you reduce damage with Spirit Shield, the creature that caused the damage takes force damage equal to the amount reduced. You may cast Augury or Speak with Dead as a ritual without material components. Con is your spellcasting ability. Okay, pretty neat. More of a supportive subclass, which is kind of a neat play on the Barbarian. Path of the Battle Rager. Make themselves into living weapons, cloaking their bodies in spikes, metal, and pain, so that every collision draws blood. Oh, this is like Ironhead Light. When you choose this path at 4th level, you master the use of spiked armor. While wearing spiked armor, you may treat it as medium armor if it would be heavier, and it counts as a martial melee weapon with which you are proficient. It deals 1d6 piercing. While you are raging and wearing spiked armor, you can take the attack action and make a melee attack against a creature. You may use your bonus action to make one attack with your armor spikes. In addition, while you successfully grapple a creature while wearing spiked armor, it takes 1d6 piercing damage. Reckless Abandon. At 5th level, throwing yourself into danger feeds your fury. When you use Reckless Attack while you are raging, temporary hit points equal to 1d6 plus your rage damage bonus. Okay. Temporary hit points last until the start of your next turn. Spiked Retribution. At 6th level, those who strike you pay in blood. While you are raging, when a creature within 5 feet of you hits with a melee attack, it takes piercing damage equal to your rage damage bonus. If you take the dash action while you are raging and you move within 5 feet of a hostile creature as part of your movement, the first time you move past a hostile creature before the end of your turn, that creature must make a dex saving throw or take piercing damage equal to your rage damage bonus. When you enter your rage on the same turn that you entered it, you may make the dash action as a free action. Okay. So we've gotten to basically the end of the general features, right? We're just going through the subclasses now. And I'm noticing that the rage damage bonus is just max 6, right? So in this particular case, it would always be 6 because you only get that feature at 6th level. So that's just worth pointing out because it's not like it's a big number, right? So, okay. Path of the Beast. Barbarians of this path draw upon an ancient feral curse or blessing, allowing them to manifest claws, fangs, tails, and other monstrous traits in battle. When you choose this path at 4th level, your rage causes bestial weapons to erupt from your body. Following natural weapons, bite and claws. Bite is a natural weapon, deals 1d8. Regain hit points equal to your prof bonus. Each of your claws is a 1d6. You make one additional claw attack as part of the same action, so it's 2d6. Okay. Bestial Soul. At 5th level, your body adapts even further into predatory perfection. Your natural weapons from form of the beast count as magical. In addition, when you complete a short or long rest, you choose one of the following adaptations until you complete another short or long rest. Climbing speed equal to your walking speed. Climb difficult surfaces. Putting upside down on ceilings without needing an ability check. Gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed and can breathe underwater. Or when you jump, you make a running long jump or high jump from a standing start. Jump distance is increased by a number of feet equal to your barbarian level. That means it could be 6 feet, which is really funny because it's like nothing. 5 feet, though, makes sense, right? At 6th level, your rage awakens the predator in your companions. When you enter your rage, choose a number of willing creatures you can see within 30 feet up to your con mod. 10 temporary hit points for 1 minute. While your rage lasts, and while this creature possesses temporary hit points, first time each of their turns when they successfully hit a creature with an attack roll, they can deal additional damage equal to your rage damage. Cool. Berserkers surrender themselves wholly to slaughter, embracing the battle trance so complete that pain, fear, and restraint become meaningless. When you choose this path at 4th level, you can drive yourself into a murderous frenzy. When you enter your rage, you may declare that it is a frenzied rage. For the duration of your rage, you may make one additional attack when you take the attack action on your turn. Reckless attack when you are in frenzied rage, you can critically strike on a roll of 19 or 20. At the end of your frenzied rage, you immediately suffer 1 point of exhaustion, and your speed is halved until the end of your next turn. At 5th level, Fury drowns the attempts to cloud your mind. While you are raging, you are immune to charmed and frightened conditions. If you are charmed or frightened when you enter the rage, the effect is suspended for the duration of the range. Retaliation. At 6th level, every wound you suffer becomes a cue to strike back. Within 5 feet of you, damages you. Make 1 melee weapon attack without spending your reaction. Dude, holy shit. That's pretty good. You basically just start smashing people immediately. It's like a permanent parry, or whatever that feature is, where you retaliate as soon as you get attacked. Path of the Giant. Barbarians of this path invoke the vast strength of giant kind, growing in size, hurling foes about the battlefield, and imbuing their weapons with elemental ruin. Giant's Havoc. When you choose this path at 4th level, your rage takes on the scale of a giant legend. While you are raging, your size becomes large if there is room enough for you to grow. If there is not enough room, your size does not change. While large in this way, your reach increases by 5 feet. You also know how to speak, read, and write giant if you do not already know it. I assume this is while not raging as well. Elemental Cleaver. At 5th level, you can infuse your weapon with elemental force. When you enter your rage, choose one weapon you are holding, or both of you have shield fighting or 2-weapon fighting. Until your rage ends, the chosen weapon deal an additional 1d8 or 1d4 acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage, your choice. If it lacks the thrown property, it gains the thrown property with a normal range of 20 feet and long range of 60 feet. If you throw the weapon, it reappears in your hand immediately after the attack resolves. That's pretty good. You're basically becoming like Thor or Zeus or whatever. It's pretty cool. Mighty Impel. At 6th level, you can launch creatures across the field with a colossal strength. As a bonus action, while you are raging, choose one creature within your reach that is large or smaller. If the creature is willing, you move it to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of you. If the creature is unwilling, it must succeed on a strength saving throw or be hurled in an unoccupied space. Okay. If the creature collides with the ground or another solid surface at the end of this force movement, it takes bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 plus your strength mod and falls prone. The creature that it collided with must make a dex saving throw against your barbarian save DC. On failure, both creatures take bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6, your strength mod, and fall prone. Path of the Storm Herald. The Storm Heralds become living omens of elemental ruin, carrying desert heat, crashing sea storms, or killing frost into every battle. Storm Aura. Choose one environment for your storm, desert, sea, or tundra. You gain a storm aura that activates whenever you rage, 10 feet around you while you're raging. You may activate its effect when you enter rage, and again as a bonus action each of your turns while the rage lasts. Each creature in your aura takes fire damage equal to your rage damage bonus, or lightning damage, or cold damage. When you complete a long rest, you may change your chosen environment. Storm Soul. At 5th level, your bond with your chosen storm deepens. Resistance to fire damage from desert. You don't suffer the effects of extreme heat and can't be harmed by non-magical flames. These are while you're raging. Sea. You gain resistance to lightning damage. You can breathe underwater and gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed. Tundra is resistance to cold damage. You don't suffer the effects of extreme cold and ice and snow, and don't count as ice and snow don't count as difficult terrain for you. Raging Storm. At 6th level, your aura punishes those who would challenge it. For Desert, when a creature in your aura hits you with an attack, it takes 5 fire damage. For Sea, hostile creatures in your aura always have disadvantage on opportunity attacks. And Tundra, creatures that move through your aura or start their turn in your aura have their speed halved until the beginning of their next turn. That's pretty cool. Path of the Totem Warrior. I've heard a lot about this one. I think Shambler was talking about doing a Totem Warrior Barbarian. Totem Warriors bind themselves to primal animal spirits, drawing upon those spirits' ferocity, cunning, and survival instincts. When you take this path at 4th level, you can channel the aid of an animal spirit when you enter your rage. And you receive the benefit until the rage ends. For the Bear Totem, you have resistance to all damage except psychic damage. Eagle. Other creatures always have disadvantage on opportunity attacks against you, even if a spell or effect would grant them advantage. Elk. You gain 15 increased walking speed. Holy moly. Tiger. If you move at least 10 feet straight toward a creature before hitting with a melee attack, you deal additional damage equal to your rage damage bonus. Wolf. While you are within 5 feet of a hostile creature, your allies have advantage on melee attack rolls against that creature. Okay. So it's like a pack thing, right? Aspect of the Beast. At 5th level, the animal spirits you commune with aid your everyday challenges. When you finish a long rest, you may choose one of the following effects. Bear. You count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the way you can push, drag, or lift, and you have advantage on strength checks to break objects. Eagle. You have the advantage on perception checks made to see at a distance, and dim light does not impose disadvantage on your perception checks. Elk. Your travel pace is doubled for you and up to 10 companions while you travel overland. Tiger. You gain proficiency in acrobatics or athletics. If already proficient, you gain expertise instead. Okay. And these are semi-permanent in that you change them every long rest if you want to. Wolf. You have advantage on survival checks made to track creatures, and you can move stealthily at a normal pace while traveling. Spirits Manifest. At 6th level, your animal spirits join you in battle. When you enter your rage as part of the same bonus action, you may choose to conjure an animal spirit that takes the shape of a bear, giant eagle, elk, tiger, or dire wolf. The animal spirit uses the stat block appropriate for its chosen form, 20 bonus HP, takes its turn directly after yours. Its weapon attacks deal additional damage equal to your rage damage bonus. It vanishes when it is reduced to 0 hit points or when your rage comes to an end. This is every time you rage, which is pretty legit, I think. Path of the Zealot. Zealots are chosen instruments of divine or profane wrath. Warriors whose rages are not merely emotional but sanctified. Their fury is proof of devotion. Immaculate vibes on this class, I'll tell you that much. Divine Fury. When you choose this path at 4th level, the first creature you hit with a weapon attack on each of your turns while raging takes additional radiant or necrotic damage, your choice, equal to your rage damage bonus. In addition, if a spell would restore you to life, it does not require material components to do so. That's pretty good. You become expendable. Protoss Zealot, actually. Fanatical Focus. At 5th level, once per rage, when you fail a saving throw, you may re-roll it and choose whether to use the new result. In addition, if you succeed on a saving throw against being charmed, frightened, or possessed, the creature or effect that forced the save takes radiant or necrotic damage, your choice, equal to your rage damage bonus. Rage Beyond Death. At 6th level, the certainty of your cause refuses death itself. While you are raging, having 0 hit points does not knock you unconscious. You still make death saving throws as normal, and you suffer the normal effects of taking damage while at 0 hit points. If you would die due to failing death saving throws while your rage persists, you do not die until your rage ends, and only if you still have 0 hit points at that time. In addition, once per long rest, as a bonus action, you may unleash a zealous war cry. Until the start of your next turn, you and friendly creatures within 30 feet of you have advantage on attack rolls and saving throws. Yeah, Zealot is probably the coolest one of the barbarian subclasses. That's very legit. That's very legit. Okay. That's pretty cool. I'll say that much for sure, 3Crow. That's a pretty legit one. So I think the barbarian is like a pretty easy. Oh yeah, I just realized my camera's a little bit down there. There we go. I fixed it. I think that's pretty legit. I dig it. And I think also there's a pretty strong argument to like zealots are so easy to have as like it's so easy to use those thematically for deadly warriors of a religious bent that you don't typically get a chance to see. So they're sticking in my head as like it's cool to have that codified as like an option in the class set, even for enemy designs, you know? All right. You guys see what's on the screen if you're paying attention to that sort of thing. It's time to talk about characters. It's time to talk about characters for sure. We got our Ascendosaur character tier list here, and I'm excited to bring the tier list to everybody. We have 20 characters, if you can believe it, 20 images. We are going through class. This does include 2 characters that are only available for the homie campaign that my brother and my brother's girlfriend are participating in. But everything else is a character that you guys should all be able to recognize. I think we'll just do it in alphabetical order from left to right, which is how they're sorted right now. I don't have any strong particular ideas for it otherwise, but I will explain the tiers briefly. So from the bottom, I hate working with these people, is the tier that you put for characters that really don't work well together with other party members. They have really difficult dynamics. They're going to be a challenge in that respect. And it's definitely going to be a bit of a problem here. Oh, I am realizing I'm actually missing. I think I'm missing Squelch, aren't I? Hold on, I gotta click here to add images so we get Squelch. Hold on, guys. Let me choose additional files. Yeah, we have 21 characters actually. So where's Squelch here? I think it's just called like Ooze or something instead of Squelch Portrait. Here it is, Squelch token. There you go. All right, so go ahead and submit. And we got Squelch there. He's at the end. Very cool. So I hate working with these people. Basically, you can imagine which characters are going to go here, but they're really difficult to add, really difficult to handle, really difficult to put up there as like, this is going to really work. This is going to really help me out. So definitely need to keep that in mind. I'm also looking through here though, and I feel like I'm missing another. Another character. Hold on. I feel like I'm missing this guy. So I guess I'll just double check that I have all the characters here since I've had to do this twice. Acoxy. Okay, so of the campaigns, right, we got Paladin Partner, Augustius, Benson, Shoulder, Jason, Mithridates, and Fizz. Okay, so we got everybody from Paladin Partner. ADS, we got... okay, so yeah, we have... 1, 2, 3, 4. What were we missing here? 5. Oh, 6. I counted over Narath, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, we got all 6 there. And then for Terath's Hunt, Acoxy, Tiber, Nathaniel, Zazzle. So that's 4. And then for Omnima, Squelch, Selkor, Theron, and Vraxus. So that's 4. And then the other 2 characters here are Gonzo and Nezera, which are the ones from the other campaign as mentioned. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and submit that. Okay, so we're not quite in... I guess I'll probably remember to do it in alphabetical order, but we would need to remove or reorder the images. Oh, I can do that. So this is going to be here, and this is going to be here, and Tiber also shouldn't be right here, right? QRST. And then Nathaniel is Jason, Mithridates, MN. Okay. I guess they're not in purely alphabetical order then, probably, because Silas is over here. They're not all called the same thing. It's not really that important if they're in alphabetical order, but, it would be cool if they were, so... It's kind of funny that Acoxy is, I believe, canonically, the correct character to be there. So. Theron after Silas, right? Oh no, it's after before Tiber. Wait, hold on. We got right after Nathaniel should be Ro, because then it's QRS, shoulder, stylus, squelch. Okay. Fizz is right here. And then after Narath and Nathaniel will be Nezra. Okay. All right. We got it for real. Okay. All good, 3-Crow. All good. All right. Let's try that again. Guys, we have a tier list here. We have a tier list to do. It is time to take a look at this. We've got 22 characters to go through. 20 of them are actual player characters we may have seen in the public or donor campaigns. 2 of them are bonus additions that I put in there because they are characters from my brother and I's and my brother's girlfriend. The 2 of them and I have been running very occasional games. It needs to be a little bit more consistent, ideally soon, but homie campaign, that's what we're calling it. So those 2 are going to be bonus guys from that. But we will be talking briefly about each character, and we're going to be looking through all the tiers. So it's a gradient between brother at the very top, and I hate working with these people at the bottom. The bottom tier, as you might imagine, is characters that really don't gel with other characters, that are more lone wolves, that are going to be obnoxious to try to deal with pretty much all the time, and as a result have already driven some issues into party politics, if you will. So party dynamics don't always survive contact with these characters. Then we look at another capacity here. There's another component to this where if you look at role intimidation, that's obviously a nod to Narath. These are characters that are not as difficult to deal with as the ones at the very bottom. They have dynamics, they have goals that can be shared, but they frequently rub up against the other party members. They frequently, maybe they have like elements of their design or their lore that goes against the very essence of the party and their goals, or could potentially be alienated against them or aligned against them. And so that's something to also keep in mind. Our next middle tier here, what did he say? This one is basically like, are you paying attention? Are you constructing a lot of feedback directly towards the character? Are you going along with the party's efforts? Kinda, but you're also kind of aloof, right? You're maybe not the most focused, but you're not actively getting in the way as much. This is actually going to be a hard one to distinguish. I figure we'll have not so many characters that are in this middle ground because they're kind of like generic almost, but in a way that's not super helpful. Punch is hard, as you might imagine there. Like these are all like related to characters that you probably have already imagined at least like one character that could go in each tier here. Punch is hard is, of course, a character that goes along, gets along, maybe doesn't have a lot of agency or direction necessarily, doesn't necessarily drive the plot forward or help the party move in a certain direction, but they do have the capacity to jump straight in to combat or to help a homie out if they need something. They occasionally will break some sort of gridlock that's been established by other characters and help out overall. But they're not going to be in the driver's seat all the time. They're much more of a co-pilot in that respect. And then you get Brother. Brother is, of course, the tier for characters who are going to be aligned and going to keep things focused to some degree. They will be driving a lot of the plot. They may have benefited in a way. I mean, this is another thing to say, is that some characters are going to be like this by design because the characters have been, designed in a certain way where they then get a lot of incorporation into the rest of the party. Into the lore, at me as the GM, I might be working with that player who runs that character and might be incorporating a lot of the setting and the purpose of things into that character. And so this isn't, I should say on the outset, no placement here guarantees that the character is actually good or bad in a sense of like, well, that player really fucked up making that character. That's not what we're saying, really. What we're actually saying is, this is just the party dynamic. This is how it is. So, without further ado, I think we'll get started in sorting this out. Okay, let's talk about these characters then, homies. We have Akaxi up first. Akaxi is from Terrath's Hunt, spider person, if you will. Definitely a homie of all time. And as a result of being this spider-coated humanoid new race that we've made, Definitely, the Aaron-esque race overall, not something that's going to gel with a lot of people. Their race probably towards the bottom, and he does have some components to him that make him a little bit hard to keep stakes with the party being always the same. He's always trying to eat food. He doesn't have a lot of awareness of what goes on above ground. But he's helpful in the way that he is. And so, I'm tempted to put him in What Did He Say? I might drop him down a little bit to roll intimidation, but the problem is he doesn't actively try to disrupt things. It's more so a biological process of his disruption. So that's why I'm going to put him in What Did He Say right now. And I think that makes perfect sense for now, but I might change some stuff up as we get these people sorted. Of course, Ashtorium goes to Punches Hard, a very self-explanatory character. He's always kept pace with the party. He's gone along with whatever people wanted, and I don't think that is a problem whatsoever. He's never the driver's seat. He's never the main man, but he's always there to help a homie out. Augustius has to go into I hate working with these people. Ashtorium from ADS, Ascension to Sazerac. Augustius has, of course, had a lot of party issues with the Paladin partner. He just regularly bemoans his fate. He's not so, he takes a really heavy amount. Maybe if, the campaign had continued on, he might have been bumped up to roll intimidation, or maybe all the way up to What Did He Say? I could see if there was going to be a conversion, he'd probably move up to the middle tier, or maybe even Punches Hard. It's hard to say, but one of the he could be a more aligned character without too much more effort, but that campaign hasn't actually moved too much, right? And so we have to get back to it to see if he'll ever move, and it'll be interesting to sort of come back to this and then adjust it over time, right? So definitely not a guy who likes to work with these people, that's for sure. For Benson, this is kind of interesting. I feel like Benson is also in Punches Hard, despite the fact that Brother is maybe theoretically a tier made for him. I did design a lot of things to be based around Benson's backstory, but he's kind of taken a step back from being in the driver's seat in that respect, at least in my opinion, at least as far as I can tell. So right now I'm going to put him in Punches Hard. By the way, there's no ordering of the tiers. It's not really like that. It's not a tier list like that. It's not like somebody's more Punches Hard almost at What Did He Say? At least not right now. That's not the way I'm sorting. I might change that up over time. But I think Benson from the Paladin partner will actually go into this tier. I might move him up depending on how I've broken down the stuff, because a tier list, having a tier that doesn't get used would obviously not make very much sense. So I would say Benson is, there's a big argument to say that he was for most of, Paladin partner, he was in the Brother tier, but I think he's kind of normalized out to it not being the main captain. He's tried to make it a little bit more democratic in that way. So kind of interesting there. Blink, really hard to sell either What Did He Say or roll intimidation. And the reason for either one of these, Blink from ADS, of course, is a character who does rub up against some of the other players, but he's got a bond with Ashtorium, and he ends up liking Ro and stuff. I feel like his general capacity for growth has put him more into What Did He Say. He's borderline, you could argue that he's got traits of Punches Hard, but I think he's mostly What Did He Say, just is he paying attention? It's hard to say all the time. He's got his own ideas. Selkor Valus, the first Omnima character to arrive in our tier list. Kind of early going on Omnima, by the way, and not really hard to, it's a bit hard to say. I'm going to put Selkor in Punches Hard, because so far he has been pretty focused on trying to get his brother and his homies, his acquisitions, I guess you could say, out of harm's way. But that's the most I can say right now. I could easily see him swinging down to, What Did He Say? And this is another shoulder character, one of my brother's characters. And so, two of the characters being What Did He Say? And this guy maybe, could devolve into that, if you will. But for now, he's actually been keeping fairly focused. I think this is a fair tier for him. Darix from ADS. This is so interesting, because Darix could be equal parts I hate working with these people, Punches Hard, and Brother. I think because of the way that the class and the things overall involved him, he has to actually be Brother tier. He was such a huge driving force of the class of the campaign rather. I think the way that the campaign evolved, he ended up being a huge significant pivot point of the campaign and his influence there. At the same time, I am tempted to maybe knock him down to Punches Hard later on. But I'm going to put him there for now. I think he's a fine person there for now. He was the capital. And, it's kind of funny also that Alexander has a guy at the bottom and a guy at the top as far as the tiers, if that ends up being the case. Fizz is definitely What Did He Say tier. There's almost, him and Shoulder can combine for one character, a dyad, that drops down into role intimidation in the sense that they constantly get the party sidetracked, but individually, separately, I do have to say, they're in what did he say? They are paying attention to their own things more than the party's things. And, Fizz has moments of helpfulness and moments of unhelpfulness, but most of the time, I think he's in this tier. I think that's fair. He's, of course, from the Paladin partner, if you didn't know. Gonzo is from Scramble for Aemon Isle. Scramble for the Aemon Isle is again, the homie campaign between my brother, my brother's girlfriend, and myself. So Gonzo, this tier was actually made for Gonzo. Gonzo is definitively, what did he say? And I'm actually just going to go ahead and put Nezra in here as well. Nezra probably wants to be punches hard. This campaign is really all over the place. The two of them basically just kind of faff about and have a funny time at the expense of NPCs and sometimes each other. Mostly Nezra, actually. Gonzo quoted the immortal "What did he say?" It was a great line. I can't explain it right now. You'd have to be there, and we don't record those. So, just shut out of luck. But "What did he say?" is made for Gonzo, and I think Nezra has to go in there with him, just because the two of them really are peas in a pod in that respect. Jason Talani from the Paladin partner. This guy, oh man. I think Jason has to have graduated into punches hard territory. I think he has been a supportive second, sort of second tier, second mate type, first hand, second mate, right? Like the co-pilot type character. I think him and Benson are basically at that tier now where they are co-managing stuff like that. And I think that's pretty legit. But I also think that there's a strong argument to be made that Jason at one point was role intimidation. Never really was, what did he say? He was always taking a very active role in things. But, he at one point he might have been a bit more disruptive. At the end, they got to a point of collaboration. And that's not really the end because, we will revisit that campaign. Mitrodites, honestly, weirdly, I'm going to put him in what did he say? He's a fairly aloof character, and he was more involved early on. I think most characters probably default to punches hard if they are not like really extreme personalities, and then if they're not played super actively, then they kind of by default drop down to what did he say, and that's more or less what I see out of Mitrodites. He was a little bit more active in the first arc, and then as we add more voices, he got maybe a little bit more drowned out, and that's just maybe a dynamic of how Lucy plays, right? So we got to sort of give a nod to that. But not a bad character, not a distracting character, a pretty focused character in theory, but just, doesn't have a lot of screen time, it feels like. Doesn't fight for the stage light in the same way. Role intimidation thus far has actually been empty, but we do have to put Narath there. This is despite the fact that Narath did end up getting a character redemption. Problem is that came very, very late, and even into that lateness, there was often like, well, I'm going to attack this person. Or, indeed, role intimidation between party. There's a lot more arguments between Narath and other characters compared to Jason and other characters. That's kind of, this tier was in many ways made for Narath. But despite the memes, I think it's a worthy point. It's either punches hard or role intimidation. He does jump right over, what did he say? I think, if we were only isolating the last few sessions of ADS, we'd put him in punches hard. But he's got to go here for historical sake, for overarching history. That being said, if I could put half of him in here and the other half up here, I would. So just keep that in mind. I would say Nathaniel so far in Terath's Hunt, which is another campaign kind of like Omnima. It's a little bit early going. We've only maybe completed, I think, 9 sessions of it. So it's not super deep. He's kind of in between like role intimidation and punches hard, but way more on the punches hard side right now. He's definitely being more focused. He just does have a bit of a difficult personality that makes it maybe make him a little bit more focused on himself. And so that is sort of where I'm at there. Ro is from, of course, it's Baelithel's character from ADS, Essential to Sazerain. And Ro, I think, he was like, for the longest time, I'd say he was punches hard, and he kind of dipped it up into brother territory very briefly towards the end there, but that wasn't most of his time. He was a very serviceable, supportive character, definitely helping out where possible, where necessary. Very involved, I would say, like very, very rarely would just kind of check out, and so I can't put him in what did he say, and he was never like causing party fights or anything. So definitely a nice character in that respect. You kind of want to be in this like mid-table or above tier, just based on the way that like things go. If you're a funny comic relief character / maybe not someone who's super involved, or you're a character who's co-piloting, that's kind of where you want to be. Shoulder is definitely, what did he say? Shoulder was trying to start punching hard towards the end, and then we got kind of confused at the end because everybody died. Shoulder, if this wasn't what did he say by Gonzo, this would be a Shoulder quote, like, the moon. you know the moon. The amount of things that he said, it almost is borderline role intimidation territory, how much distraction Shoulder has created. And that's because he's less existed for longer than Fizz Fizz. So we got to put that in there as well. Just likewise, as the Punches Hard tier will grow in conjunction with What Did He Say, Silas joins from ADS, Shoulders from Paladin Partner. Silas, a character who's mostly kind of just, I mean, I would almost put him in What Did He Say based on the Mithridates tiering. But Silas did start to be a little bit more involved, and he was always like nominally involved, nominally a leader figure, but he was very reserved overall compared to somebody like Benson's performance. Obviously, the same player there, 3 Crow. Squelch. Squelch so far is actually What Did He Say? Just because he's, and this isn't, by the way, just to let everybody know, again, this is not like, did he say something? I didn't hear him. It's not an insult. This is What Did He Say? As it was just an immortal line that was just like, let's continue a distraction that's gone on for long enough anyway, and let's just make it even funnier. That's basically what that line is. So comic relief style stuff, or, you know, just kind of focused on your own thing and maybe not really focused on what the party is doing. But Omnimod's super tentative, as Balathal even said in the chat, echoing a sentiment that I had already said. It's not something that we have a strong feel of yet. Right, so like Selkor, we know is like right now he's put on Punches Hard, but you know we got Squelch over here. He's focused on himself. We don't really know yet what the character dynamics are, and I guess right about now, it feels wrong to put anybody in brother tier when it's just beginning. But Theron is definitely fixating the plot around himself a lot and what he's doing. So I will put him in Punches Hard because he's definitely directing. But we don't really know that much. There's another Omnimod character. I would say Tiber. Tiber probably has to, oh man, it's so hard. I feel like Tiber needs to go into role intimidation right now because he is regularly like, you know, threatening people, smashing things, causing a problem in the Underdark, the Tenebrawl as we call it in Ascendosaur. Tiber played by 3 Crow in Tereth's Hunt alongside Nathaniel and Akoxi and Zazzle, who we haven't quite gotten to. Definitely a character that you look at and you think, damn, okay, this guy's messing around a bit in terms of like what he's focused on. He's really focused on himself, which can lead to problems. Probably no surprises here that Vraxis from Omnimod currently is, and I hate working with these people. Maybe you could argue that he actually should go up to role intimidation because he's causing party fights, but he's trying to help out. But no surprise that I was at least considering that bottom tier for him. I think I'll be generous because it's not yet decided how Omnimod is going to be, just like it's not really decided how Tereth's Hunt is going to be. And we'll leave it at that for now. But this guy is definitely causing some flummoxing, that's for sure. And Zazzle, a little bit early on the showtime, but is, you know, he came here with his own purposes, but he has been trying to help direct the party in Tereth's Sun. So I'm going to put him up to Punches Hard for now. And again, being a little bit generous for those donor campaigns right now because they're pretty early on. In the same way that I was generous for Vraxis, whereas like if the campaign ended tonight, I would say, yeah, well, he was definitely bottom tier as far as, you know, in that bottom tier of like categorization, not in bottom tier of like characters made. He's a very distinctive character. You got to give him to that. But yeah, that is going to be how we go there. I think this is a pretty locked in tier list. The only player I could think of, again, like maybe I was thinking about moving Benson up for brother tier. There's an argument to be made there, but he did reserve a lot of the decision making and kind of like relinquish back a little bit. It's not decided yet though, so this is kind of hard. I think like as the campaign progressed and we got it to a close in the same way that ADS goes, I think Benson is the most like first in line character to jump up to brother tier. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I think that's probably it. I don't think I need to move anybody else. So I'm going to go ahead and save this little snapshot here and post it and, you know, do that. I think I'm not sure if save or download does the thing that I think it does. Oh, okay. It does, yeah, it saves the thing. So we'll say Ascendosaur tier list 17 July 2026 and we'll hit save. And I should be able, can I edit it? I'm not actually sure if I can remix this tier list. What does that do? Okay, remix lets me edit it as it was. So I can go back to this link later and then update it over time. Okay, so that's going to be a wrap on the tier list. Thanks for hanging out. And pretty soon, immediately after that, which of course was I tried to format that as like a video that I could probably put up. So we'll go ahead and put that together. But yeah, the overall idea that I have there is, let's see, I think I can probably copy this link and then post that. Yeah, that's it. Should Benson get credit for raising the tiers of other party members? Well, Benson definitely has. You're right about that, Three Crow. Benson has done that. He has helped to elevate Jason, helped to stabilize Shoulder to some degree. Him and Mitridates have like a respectful working relationship, but I think Mitridates was always a homie. Not sure about Augustius yet. In fact, Augustius seemed to react very negatively to Benson. Does Augustius drag Benson down? These are questions. Like I said, I think Benson is definitely he's definitely next in line for brother tier, and it makes sense because that's his tier, dude. That's who you should have. So I will come back to this. I will definitely come back to this, and we will we'll update it over time. We'll probably have to do this at least once, like every 6 months or something. So and it doesn't include Cosmonarchy characters. I didn't even think about that, but I'll have to do an update in 6 months that also includes the Cosmonarchy characters. I think that's fair. So end of the year, December update, so that's less than 6 months from now, or maybe January, whatever. We'll figure that out. But guys, I gotta go. It's dinner time, and after that, it is the last little bit of Cosmonarchy work time as well. So I will see you guys pretty soon for some more tabletop time on Saturday, and besides that. It is a GG. That was a fun little thing at the end there. I like those tier lists. I guess if somebody else has tier list ideas for donor tasks, I'll do them because that's pretty fun. But peace.